All right, so this is 6 of 10.2. The first thing we're gonna do is it asks us to find the answer to this equation. And so to do that, we are going to figure out what our n is. Our n is how many in the sample, so that's that 115 right there. And our p is the proportion, so it's this 0.36. So we're gonna do that. So we do our n times our p times in parentheses 1 minus our p. So we'll type that number in right there. And it is greater than 10, which is good because that's one of the requirements for the testing hypothesis. Another requirement is that the sample size has to be less than 5%. So always put less than 5% unless it gives you reason to think otherwise. We're only looking at 115 of fatalities in a certain region, so it's not very specific, but we just assume that it's less than 5%. And it says random sample, so it is given to be random. And so the requirements are satisfied. So we're talking about proportions, so these are both going to be proportions. And then our null hypothesis is always equal to, and this is our p, or 0.36, so that's what we're going to put here, because that is what they found originally. And so now we're looking back at the data, and we're wondering if it says, does the sample evidence suggest that the region has a higher proportion of traffic fatalities involving the positive BAC than before? And so it's greater than is what we're looking at, as if the proportion is higher. And so to plug this into StatCrunch is we're talking about proportions, so we go to proportion stats, and it's one sample with summary. And our successes are, so it gives us this data right here, that they have a random sample of 115, results in 55 that involved a positive BAC. And so success would be 55, and it's 55 out of 115. And so then we're going to input so that it matches this right here. So our p equals 0.36, and our p is greater than 0.36. And so z is the z-stat, that is your test statistic. So you can just type that right in. Your p-values right there. And so now we're going to compare our p-value to our level of significance. And so this 0.004 is less than 0.01. And so if it's less than, if our p-value is smaller than this level of significance, then we're going to reject the null hypothesis. So I think it's this one. Let me read through the other one. It's not greater than, it's not greater than, and you're supposed to reject it. All right.